Hey, Pastor Steve Waldron, I hope you're having a great day or night in Jesus. I just had a friend send me these 3 books on the Dead Sea Scrolls. So I've done a lot of, especially podcasts on the Dead Sea Scrolls over at Biblical Archaeology Today with Steve Waldron. And so let's just take a look at these. Now, these are all dated. And, you know, my suggestion is just get a copy like Giza Vermes or somebody else, an edition of the Dead Sea Scrolls, read them. I have not read them all. I have read some of them, but I've done a lot of research on them. And so this one by The Scrolls from the Dead Sea by Edmund Wilson is pretty cool because it's one of the older ones. You know, they were found between 1947 and 1956, even though they're still finding Dead Sea Scrolls today. I've done some videos on that here on the channel and also podcast on that. But like this, W.F. Albright, who is tremendous, he recommends this. Miller Burroughs, who's tremendous, the Journal of Biblical Literature, recommends this. The New York Times, Atlantic Monthly. I noticed it was World Publishing, but I don't think it's the World Publishing I am used to. So some of the things in here is the Metropolitan Samuel. He would be like the Armenian Orthodox or Greek Orthodox. Metropolitan, the Essene order. Now there is some debate on whether the Essenes were exclusively Abinda Qumran, or now kind of the cutting edge theory is there was at least 6 different groups there doing various things, and they practice ritual baptism there, so they would have known about baptism. You've got some kind of extreme theories. I think John the Baptist came from there and stuff like that. So the monastery, the teacher of righteousness, who's one of the most interesting characters of the Dead Sea. What would Renan have said? Who was a biblical critic in the 19th century? Ernest Renan. And then General Yeadon, Yigal Yeadon, who was a general and also an amazing archaeologist who found the earliest Christian cemetery before 45 AD, saying things like the name of the Father is Jesus on the ossuaries, and found that at Talpiath, southwest Jerusalem. So this was first printed in 1959. And so here's the deal. For a lot of political reasons, the Dead Sea Scrolls didn't get published till the late 1980s, basically. Some of them, they were coming up really sporadically, and I think it may have been Robert Eisenman who got in there, and they did not know. This is the time before cell phones, internet and stuff, and he had like a mini spy camera. And so as he's looking at it there in Jordan, he's taking pictures. He took like 800 pictures, came, reproduced them, and so they realized, they're like, okay, they're going to have to come out. And so there was so much speculation, like in the mid-80s, what's in the Dead Sea Scrolls? A lot of people thought there must be something pro-Christianity, some thought anti-Christianity. And like Bill Cooper and the founder of the Journal of Papyrology said there was New Testament manuscripts. And I've done multiple videos on those New Testament manuscripts that I tend to believe. And somebody blew up Cave 7. I mean, like, blew it up with dynamite kind of thing. So that's kind of weird. The next one, I found it the most informative to this point, and it's Charles Pfeiffer. It's just amazing. And I saw on the back, it's advertising like Baker's Pictorial Introduction to the Bible. I'm like, I think I need that book. But I haven't got it yet. But it has 21 illustrations in here. They're in black and white. Pfeiffer's the guy who did the editorial work. I thought I have it around here somewhere. Yeah, I do. The Wycliffe. This is what I'm using in some of our Biblical Archaeology Today podcast, is the Wycliffe Dictionary of Biblical Archaeology. He was the general editor of that. Great book. It's dated, so it doesn't have a lot of the newer finds, but it has a ton of the older ones that haven't made it into the next couple of generations. So this is in Roman numerals. Let's see here. So this was done in 1969, but I will say it's been great. The reader of this book will want to have beside it a translation of the scrolls, Miller Burroughs' 2 books, The Dead Sea Scrolls and More Light in the Dead Sea Scrolls by Viking. Now, Miller Burroughs is just fantastic. He also has the World Meridian book series, which I think is the one we just said, the Essene writings from Qumran. Now, the Essenes, they're not mentioned in Scripture per se. The earliest finding I found of the Essenes, besides Jewish writings, they're in some of the Jewish writings. Josephus, you've got Josephus down here on a little cool-looking bookshelf down here that I got from Hamacher Schlemer. I love these little bookshelves from Hamacher Schlemer. Little rotary, and they don't take up much space. You can fit a ton on there. Josephus mentions them, but like the Theosophical Society, like Annie Wood Besant and Helenina Blavatsky, who they kind of do a off branch on her and something, and Harry Potter. But this one, it has discoveries in the Judean caves, has Origin, Timotheus, Cave 1, Qumran, Wadi Murabat, which is an amazing find. I've done some podcasts on that. Khirbet el Murd, other Qumran caves, paleography, archaeology, carbon-14 internal evidence, the historical background of Alexander, the copper scroll. You know, I turned on Christian radio not long ago, and there's people trying to follow this copper temple scroll to find all this treasure in the Holy Land. I don't think they have. The Habakkuk roll, the Manual of Discipline, the War Scroll, Thanksgiving Scroll, Temple Scroll, the Genesis Apocryphon. I think there's multiple messiahs mentioned. One is the son of Joseph and one is the son of David or something, because he's got the word Messiah. How many messiahs on here? Esoteric knowledge. The Sophirim, so it has the Masoretes, but also the Sophirim. A lot of people don't realize, this is a good section in this book, that there was scribal traditions predating the Masoretes that keep that. So Yigo-Yading examining the Bar Kokhba letters. So this is cool. And again, it's barren. They get like an inch or two of rain a year there. It's you can see the Dead Sea from Qumran. And then this one is kind of the most weird one in a sense, the Dead Sea Scrolls Deception, but you can get some stuff out of this. Authors of Holy Blood, Holy Grail, which is fascinating. Many people forget that was a multi-year bestseller. And so Bagnet and Lee write clearly, and they know how to tell an exciting tale. Herschel Shanks, Biblical Archaeology Review. Shanks has done a great book. Which, is it Shanks? I don't think he thinks it's the Essenes. I think he thinks it's the Ebionites, if I remember correctly, that were at Qumran. But this is going to be more what I call like a conspiracy theory book. And so the Dead Sea Scrolls Deception, why a handful of religious scholars conspired to suppress the revolutionary contents of the Dead Sea Scrolls. Reading through this, one of the things I found about this book and books like it is many times you get a ton of information, hidden history, even if some of the conclusions are a little weird. Like Eric von Daniken's The Chariots of the Gods, I would vociferously disagree with the conclusions, or Jeremiah Stilson, or that genre, not Stilson necessarily himself, with the Sumerians, but they give you a lot of information. And so the Dead Sea Scrolls in the Bible by Pfeiffer, and the scrolls from the Dead Sea by Edmund Wilson, who I've heard of Edmund Wilson. I don't know a lot about Edmund Wilson, not as much as like Pfeiffer and Benet and Richard Lee. But not the Richard Lee from Rehoboth Baptist, but that did the Patriot Study Bible differently, spelled differently. But the Dead Sea Scrolls. So again, like I was at a store in Dawson, Georgia. We were going to visit a lady in a nursing home up in Cuthbert, Georgia. And so we were buying her flowers, buying her cards, trying to buy her some word search books and stuff. And they had an amazing copy of the Dead Sea Scrolls in full color, like by Time or National Geographic. Had a lot of good stuff in there. So that might be something you want to get. But again, just a translation. And there's debates out on the best translation. Vermes, I think, is the general Penguin Press translation, but there's others. So God bless. And the Bible is absolutely true. And that's one thing the Dead Sea Scrolls have shown. And I'm very thankful. I've been to the Scroll of the Book Museum there in Israel, that they're saying now they're allowing the dates of the Dead Sea Scrolls to really come to pass. 150 BC, BC, 250 BC, 300 BC for a Genesis fragment. Because it used to be they tried to, it was around the 1st century AD and stuff. So God bless. And some of it is. We'll talk with you later. Join us daily. Bye-bye.